What's life really like in LA County? What better way to know than to ask the people who call it home? A recent survey by UCLA shows the quality of life in LA County is diminishing. In fact, it's dipped to its lowest level in 7 years. The annual survey revealed several factors are behind that dip, including high housing prices, homelessness, and rising crime. I spoke earlier with Zev Yaroslavsky, the director of the Los Angeles Initiative at UCLA, to break down how the survey works and what it all means.
And what we do is we survey county residents, a statistically representative sample of county residents, and we ask them to rate their quality of life on a scale of 10 to 100. Over the last 7 years, or 7 surveys, the overall rating that county residents have given their quality of life has hovered basically between 57 and 58. 1 year it was 56, 1 year it was 59. These aren't percentages; these are values. And so for the number to drop significantly requires that all the categories that we survey, there are 9 of them, from healthcare to cost of living to your neighborhood, et cetera. It requires a huge drop in several, if not all, of the categories ratings. The cost of living category asks 4 questions. Housing has always been the #1 issue in cost of living. Last year, 45% of the people said that housing was the factor that determined their rating on cost of living. This year, that went down from 45 to 40. It's still the #1 issue. Wow. But what went up was the cost of gasoline and household goods. Inflation clearly has reared its ugly head, and it's only been around for 3 or 4 months. About 30%, 31% of the people who we surveyed said their income had gone down and not gotten back to where it was since the pandemic started. Last year, it was 40%. So some people have gotten their income back. But of the people who are in income brackets of less than $60,000 a year household income, which is basically below the poverty line, right, those folks, 55%, have not gotten back to where they were 2 years ago. There are bright spots. People are very high on their health care, believe it or not. Healthcare has always been a highly rated category in our survey. I think part of that is the Affordable Care Act. Part of it is you can find a doctor when you need one. Most people can. And even people who are uninsured, a lot of work has been done thanks to Obamacare and the County of Los Angeles expanding health care to people who may not have health insurance. That's one high rating. We've always had high ratings of how people feel about race relations and relations between different ethnicities and religions. And we've always had high ratings about how people feel about their own neighborhood. Those things are still high. They dropped this year, but they're still the highest in the highest band. And so there are a lot of good things about LA, and I think people still understand them. But right now, at this particular time, after what we've been through in the last 2 years, and now to have income not go back to where it was for a big chunk of our population, and inflation eating up at what income they have, people are stressed, they're pessimistic, they're angry, and they're scared.
And that was Zev Yaroslavsky. Another major issue for people in LA County is crime. 66% of county residents saying they're more concerned this year over last year when it comes to property crime. 61% are more concerned about violent crime.